I'm going to be doing some numerology now. So we're going to start with number one because today is the first day of me starting my Gola, my Patreon page to have fun with astrology and other things that are going on. So I thought we start with numerology because it's quite fun. So if in your chart, if your date of birth is 1, 10, 19 or 28, then you are a number one in numerology. What does that mean? That kind of is like your path, if you like. So it's energy of your journey. So people who are born on those days will have a little bit like the energy of the sun, because sun is the first planet we use in astrology and actually rules the natal chart, is the karaka or the significator of your D1 or like your natal chart. And do remember that I use sidereal zodiac. I don't use tropical ones, so you might want to have a look and just see how it pans out. But anyway, it will have that energy of Aries. And we know that these people are going to be, because it's where the sun is exalted in Aries. So these people will just kind of like the moment they walk into a place, they shine. There's something about them. They don't even have to say anything. People just notice them. So that is the amazing thing about them. And just like the sun, they are like the leaders, really. They are born to be leaders, whether it's at work or within a group they are friendly with. They are very good and they're very independent and freedom loving. And so they work pretty well. Even if they were an employee, they'll be really, really good to just be left to deal with the jobs at hand, and they will do it very well. They are loyal people, they're committed, they're honest, and there is a sense of originality about them. Because after all, this sign is the pioneering sign of the zodiac, the very first sign of the zodiac. So they are like a ray of sunshine, literally. They're quite demanding, and just like Aries, they're quite impatient. They are the initiators as well, because obviously Aries is a fire sign. So therefore, it's fire initiates things, initiates cooking, warmth, if you think, all that kind of stuff, initiates seasons. And they can be very direct in their speech and their mannerism, which can be misunderstood by others, but never really think that way about them because it never comes from a bad place normally. But it's just the way they are. They're just direct, they're dynamic, they literally cut to the chase. They're not these sort of people who, they're not really into anything that is shallow or frivolous or chit-chatty. They are much deeper than that, really. They're confident, they like to get to the point, cut the chase, and they literally they are a little bit obviously pioneering sign, like a little bit like Christopher Columbus, being the pioneer and went overseas and traveled to find lands new. So they do start this sort of thing. They're a bit impulsive in everything they do. You can kind of know if they're moving around if you share a house or halls of residence at the university, you always know which ones are Aries, because they're quite self-motivated. So they don't want to be waiting for everybody else to shower. Or even in a family household, they want to be in there, get washed, get out, because that's it. They will not like to be waiting around, and people who just like, oh, I'll have a shower in 20 minutes. No, they'll just do it. And they normally, particularly if they're born in the first few degrees of Aries, sidereal Aries, they tend to drive very fast. They walk fast, travel fast, talk fast. Everything they do is pretty fast because they're always like on that kind of time thing. And they're very good at starting new things. So initiation is something they do really, really well. The way that they can come across quite demanding, but they're probably demanding of themselves as well a little bit. So I actually think that they could be misunderstood for that. Don't take it to heart. But they're very, very good at energizing, motivating others, friends at work, because they are the sort of people who at work, if you go and talk to them, they're still doing the job and they're still talking to you. They're not going to stop something because they have a job to do. They are committed. They want to see it through. And they tend to normally, they kind of want to work for themselves, or they want to be a leader or a manager or something. They want to be in charge, because they work hard, and that is what the sun is. Sun wants to lead. Sun wants to be better than the others, If the sun is a bit too strong, they can have ego issues as well in their chart. If you want to see where the chart, if the sun is too strong, this can, or in a difficult house, if it's like in Saturn sign or in Venus's sign, it can have slight ego kind of attached to it as well. But obviously, it depends on all the aspects. So I don't want you to just go thinking, oh, I must be egocentrical because I've got this, that. No, it doesn't mean that. You just got to just see, what house it's in, the aspects, etc., etc., and also where it goes in the D9. That's very important. So they can come across a little bit like my way or highway, but you really got to see that they don't really come from a bad way. But it's with people like this, it's really good to have your boundaries in place, because you don't want to be trodden on. That's for sure. They're not all like that, though. This is what I've got to just say. It really depends on the degrees of Aries that they're born in. And because of the way they can come across a little bit self-centered as well. But I just think that's often is because they are actually misunderstood. So, but they're very quick at organising things. They're quite motivated. They literally... and they're not very good at hiding their feelings. You can't, even if they got they have this number, like number 1 as their number for their birth. But if they've got a lot of planets in Libra, they don't want to upset anyone. But so that can actually work against them, because it's almost like having too many planets in there can actually make them feel a little bit debilitated, Sun. But generally speaking, they are very good. They're very straightforward people. They don't have too many layers, like an onion. Some people have got so many layers to their personalities. They're not like that at all. Not like that at all. But they do like to help and protect others as well. So I would say if they're born in the first 13 degrees 20 of Aries sidereal, which will be Nakshatra Ashwini, they're likely to be fast drivers. Very fast, and kind of fearless as well, impulsive, fearless, everything is done very fast. And also, if their 4th house ruler is in Ashwini, in the sort of in Aries, they could be Formula 1 drivers, or Formula 2 or Formula 3 drivers, or drive really fast. If they are then in the second 13 degrees 20, so from 13 degrees 21 to 26 degrees 40 of Aries sidereal, then they will be in Bharani Nakshatra, which these people are more likely to be pioneers and initiate very, very original things, if you like. They're very creative. It's ruled by Venus, this one, whereas Ashwini is ruled by Ketu. And Ketu is a little bit headless, so that's why they can drive really fast. Everything is really fast. So in Bharani, it'll be more like the pioneering type of thing, and they will be, so they could be great sort of creative ideas, and they could be quite fashionable, the way they dress and things like this. And then the latter few degrees up to 30 degrees, so it'd be 26 degrees 41 to 30 degrees. Actually, it will go into Taurus at that point, but we're just going to finish it at 30 degrees. That will be like in Critica. So these can be a little bit cutting with their words. So if you find as though the ego kind of sets in a little bit, it's because there's a little bit too much sun in them, and particularly if the sun is really strong in their chart, they could just think that everybody else owes them a little bit. So you've got to just be careful with that. So you don't want to be like upsetting or trodding on anybody's feet. So this is very important to use your sun, use that energy properly, you know. And and these people, they are very good at kind of editing, good with detail, you know, actually they're very good at cutting things out of their life that no longer serve them. That's it, it's done. And for these people, they really need to learn that this is like things that will help. Like for Critica, I would say that they need to learn that cutting things out that no longer serve them is good. That could be things or people, but also not to be cutting with your words, depending on what planet rules that comes in there. You know, be careful with your words, because you could hurt some of these feelings. And really remembering that you're ruled by the sun, you know, being number one, and you should be actually reflecting your rays of sunshine on others. It shouldn't always be about you taking center stage. With Bharani as well, obviously pioneers, I would generally say it's always good to initiate things, but try to finish things as well, because that's one thing can actually apply to all of them, where they're very good at initiating, but are you really good at finishing? Because that is actually then when you actually feel you have accomplished something. And with Ashwini, because it's so impulsive, so fast, so kind of like, doing everything very fast, it's like, careful you don't cause your own accidents, think before you do things, and be very careful not to multitask when you're driving. That's it, folks. That's my thing about Sun. Sun ruling the first number one. So I look forward to seeing you on the next one. For my Patreon only members, subscribers, thank you for that. So I just wanted to say, so if you have, if also all of your date of birth, not just your day of the birth, adds up to 1, so you're a true 1. So you embody that sun and the ray of sunshine, and you will definitely be a manager, leader, or somebody, or work for yourself, you know. And you love your freedom, your independence. You don't like to have too many ties in life. So you just want to go and get what you want. You know, you're here to explore. You literally are the explorer of your life. And if people have got a lot of planets in Aries, then in those areas of their life, they want to be the pioneers, the mover shakers of those. So, for example, I don't want you to think about this as a bad thing, but Hitler had 3 planets in Aries. So he was a pioneer of something which was dreadful, absolutely awful, but he was pioneer in that he viewed, and he wanted to be the leader, and he was going to always be like pushing and using his egotism. This is when Aries works really badly, number 1 works badly. But obviously, clearly, a lot of the leaders in the world, they have Aries, as their ascendant, or they have planets in Aries as well. So I don't want you to just think that it's a bad thing. No, not at all. It's if it wasn't for Aries would be when you're born. It also rules your head. So, you know, it's often if you have, like, for example, if people have got Mars in Aries, they can have, or at some point have had as a child or something, that had fallen and hit their head or something, or they needed some stitches in their head or something like that, you know. It's definitely true. My sister has got Rahu, the north node of the moon, in Aries, and when she was little, she was jumping up and down on the steps of outside my mum's friend's house, and she fell and she cut her head at the back and she had to have stitches. It was really pretty bad actually. And yeah, so that's it. It's when you have like malefics in there, particularly, you know, like Mars, but also Rahu can also be in there acting as Mars. So if your Mars is very strong, then I think hers is in the 8th house actually. So that's indication that you'll have an accident and hit your head. So you want to be careful when you do things like that. And what else do I want to tell? Oh yeah, so also, obviously we talked about a lot of Formula One drivers can have the ruler of the 4th house or Venus in Aries as well. The other thing is Venus in Aries people, they are impulsive. If they like somebody, they're going to tell them. They're not going to wait about, and they are fast getting into relationships. That's it. They're not going to play any games. This is not a sign. This is a very straightforward sign. You know, Aries ruling number 1. I'm not playing games. That's it. It's me and what I want. So that's it. If I like somebody, I'm going to tell them. So they're very, very proud, very confident. Usually if the sun is in a good position, they come from a really good place and they are honest. There is definitely an honesty about, and normally there isn't an agenda in there unless if the nodes are involved in it. But generally speaking, they are very upfront people. So you don't want to kind of like, you know. And just wanted to say also, Bharani, the second nakshatra in there, so it rules their sort of like their second 1320, so it'd be 1321 degrees to 2640 of Aries sidereal. These people can have, they kind of create, so they're very creative, and they obviously initiating because of the sign. If they have the 10th house ruler and he goes in there, they could possibly be gynecologists, or there could be people who initiate. You know, they are creative. Like they could write because it's to do with Venus as well. Obviously, depends on on the planets and everything else. They could literally do those kind of gynecology or midwifery kind of jobs where a baby is actually born to the world. And then the third nakshatra, although it rules into Taurus, but we're not going to go into that today because we're sticking with Aries because it represents number 1. It's the first natural sign of the zodiac. So it has flavors. Number 1 has got flavors of that as well. And so independence, obviously. So Kritika nakshatra is very they're good at initiating things, organizing things. The actual it's a blade, it's a sharp blade. It's to do with fire. It's ruled by Agni. So yeah, so it is very much like they're very good at being. So if they were like script writers or something like that, or editors, because you find a lot of editors, journalists, good journalists having a planet in Kritika because they have to edit and cut things out. So I have definitely seen that in there. And yeah, very, very good to start like literally decluttering your place on a day that, you know, moon is in Kritika. Moon in Kritika actually, but in the Taurus side, is actually exalted. So this sign is the exaltation sign for the sun, Aries is, but Kritika is the nakshatra that moon is going to be exalted in, but in the Taurus sign. But whenever you get moon actually in the last few degrees in Aries, you know, it's always going to be happy because it's going towards the 3rd degree of its exaltation sign. So it's a very good placement for the moon as well. Moon likes is friendly with Aries as well, so it's really good. So these are the things I wanted to say, and also just wanted to say about Kritika. Very prominent planets in there. These are the people who actually adopt children as well, which is so pretty. So that's it, guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.